Thomas.
So you would like us to start the DDC presentation now. There are no other.
No,
Not yet.
no, you will be called, okay? So don't just listen, you will be called, you'll know when to speak. Okay, so thank you. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Health, Seniors, Human Services, Youth Education, Human Rights Meeting of Community Board 3. My name is May. This is the September meeting. My name is May Lee, and I am the chair. Okay, so we have a number of agenda items today. Besides our regular agenda items of going over the minutes and reports, we'll have two main items. One is a report, we'll be talking about renovations, building renovations to the Henry Street women's shelter on 3rd Street. And we'll be hearing about it and voting on it. And then after that, we'll talk about the Essex Crossing School, the space that has been reserved. So, so before we start anything, Larissa, I'll hand it over to Larissa, our Zoom facilitator, who will go over the procedure of the meeting.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Community Board Subcommittee meeting this evening. I want to remind everyone that tonight's meeting is being recorded. First of all, we ask that everyone keep their microphones muted during the meeting to cut down on background noise. If you wish to speak, you will raise your hand. The committee chair will recognize you. And the chat this evening is going to be used strictly for technical assistance and for attendance. So if you are not a committee member, if you could kindly sign into the chat with your name and your affiliation, if that is appropriate. If you have any issues technically, just reach out. I'm monitoring the chat during the meeting, and I'll reach out and help you resolve your issue. And welcome to the meeting. Thanks, May.
Okay, thank you. So our next thing will be to look at the minutes of the July meeting. Okay, I sent everyone the minutes twice. Does anyone have any changes to the minutes as you see them? Changes, revisions, additions?
No.
If so, raise your hand. I don't see anyone raising their hand, so I assume that the minutes are good as they are, so they are deemed approved. Okay, so now we will take the roll call. Thomas, can you
Good
please
evening,
take the roll
everyone.
call?
Yes, good to be back in September and start our first day of school today, and excited to see everybody here. We're going to start off with our chair, May Lee.
Here.
Thomas Rosa, present. Larissa Scheinberg,
Present.
Anna Calderon. Anna, you there yet? Okay. David Crane. Eric Diaz. Eric. Larry Fenn. Larry. Shirley Fennessy.
Present. Present.
Thank you.
Test.
Was that for Larry? Yes?
Yeah, sorry, my mic was off.
No problem. Thanks, Larry. Good seeing you. Deborah?
Present.
Thank you. Alicia? Alicia Lewis Coleman? Laura Lugo?
Here.
Thank you. Heidi Schmidt?
Present.
Thank you. Annette Scott?
Present.
Thank you. And Carmen Perez? Carmen, you there yet? Okay, that concludes our roll call.
Okay, great. Okay, so we'll move on. Thank you, Thomas. We will move straight into the agenda. Okay, so our first item, as I said, is a project that's happening at Henry Street Settlements, 3rd Street Women's Shelter. It's a inside the building renovation project to make it more ADA accessible and comply with certain codes. So today we have speakers with us from DDC and also the architecture firm team who is working on the project. Could you please introduce yourself and you can start your presentation.
My name is Marianne Hyde. I'm the principal of ZH Architects, and we are working with the DDC on this women's residence. Matthew Morgan, who works for me, will be presenting the documents today.
Hi, everyone. I am Matthew. I'll share my screen. Okay, so as it was mentioned, the scope of the project includes mechanical, electrical upgrades.
Can you
all-
tell, excuse,
Yes,
can you tell people where this is?
this is on 3rd Street between Avenue C and D. The building number is 282. Yeah, so the scope of the project includes mechanical, electrical, and plumbing upgrades to improve code compliance, as well as a new entry that is going to provide an ADA accessible ramp into the building. This is a photograph of the building from the street currently, facing south. And zooming into the site, here the building is highlighted in its context north of Houston Street, between 2nd and 3rd, and between Avenue C and D. And this is an aerial perspective highlighting the building as well. Street perspectives, as you approach from Avenue C, the building's highlighted in the red dashed line, and now coming from the east, moving west along 3rd Street, this is the building. So our scope, as I indicated, is to provide the elements that will be, publicly visible are going to be the generator that's being moved up to the roof, which will make the building more resilient, and a new facade and entryway here facing 3rd Street. This is the existing floor plan. The building was built in 1975 and designed as a daycare. And this ramp is not long enough for the change in height, so it's too steep. And the security equipment right now is kind of fixed in here in a very tight sequence as you enter the building. And those are some of the things that we're addressing here in the new proposed plan. So we're introducing a lobby vestibule, a new glazed storefront entrance, which will have a translucent graphic applied to it to limit visibility, but also provide some light into the building. The ramp here is much longer, where the residents will enter the building and proceed through the security system, which is a little bit more efficient than previously. On the roof, we're adding the generator and an acoustical barrier that's designed to limit the sound to the surrounding buildings. This study was done to verify that the building or the generator and the acoustical enclosure will not be visible from the street once installed on the roof. And these perspective views were used to verify the same. When looking from 3rd Street and Avenue C, and then here looking west along 3rd Street. For the design of the front of the building on the 1st floor, we drew inspiration from the neighborhood. The mural here representing Alphabet City, the colors, and here along the bottom, all of these photographs were taken on 3rd Street between Avenue C and D, seeing things like tile mosaics, eclectic, colorful, vibrant colors here at the Bullet Art Space, and then street art kind of fitting in anywhere that it can. The proposal for the work of the building on the outside is essentially the removal of this brick, the entry and the windows from the 1st floor down. And what we hope to provide is a new glass entryway with a canopy awning. And here, currently on the outside of the building is a trash enclosure that's on the sidewalk. And that will now be housed in the building in a separate room here, which is the door here on the left. This is zooming in on those entryways, so you can see the trash enclosure currently is blocking the window, which will move into this space here to the left of the main entry. The gray area here in this drawing represents a graphic, a translucent film that will be applied to the glass. It'll allow light into the building and some light out of the building, but it'll limit privacy for the residents, provide privacy, I should say. This is a initial concept rendering of that graphic, kind of picking up on the letters of the alphabet. But this is just a preliminary placeholder, and we're working with Henry Street Settlement's art director to incorporate their feedback and get more ideas for what this will be. But we do hope that it's bright and it's colorful, and that it has some representation of both the neighborhood and the settlement's mission. And then the white brick around that glass opening is an accent. We're proposing a wood-like material for the underside of the canopy that provides a bit of a residential feel for the building. And there will be lighting in that canopy, providing light on the sidewalk. And again, the trash enclosure that's currently sitting out here on the sidewalk will be housed behind this door. The materials that we're proposing include that glazed brick, which has some graffiti resistance characteristics, the wood on the underside of the canopy, the translucent graphics on the glass, and the light fixtures that'll be installed on the underside of the canopy. If you all have any questions, we're here to try to answer them, or if you'd like me to go back to a different slide, we can talk about anything that you wish. Thank you.
Hi, this is Anna Killian. Again, I want to introduce myself. I'm with the New York City Department of Design Construction, also Office of Communication, Outreach and Notification. We also have on the call is the DDC project manager, Margaret Matz, for this job. DDC is asking for a letter of resolution if there are no more questions.
I have a
Alright,
question.
Okay, wait, okay, Heidi, are you raising your hand?
No, I wasn't able to raise my hand, but I have a question.
Okay, okay, Susan, you want to let Heidi go first, or you want to go?
Yeah, no, Heidi should go first.
Thanks,
Okay.
Susan. I just wanted to know when, I don't know if you said this and I missed it, when does it start and when is the projected completion date?
At this time, DDC is at the schematic design. I don't know if, Margaret, are you still on the line? Do you have?
Yes, I'm on the line, and so the question was the timeline. The timeline is anticipated to be completed within about 1 year timeframe. We're at the nearing the end of the design development phase.
And I would add to that, if things continue to move at the pace that we're working, we would potentially start construction in about a year.
Wow.
Oh,
That's helpful. Thanks.
okay, Susan, and then Arnett.
Okay, so my questions are similar to Heidi's, but first I just wanted to explain to everyone in the committee, the reason we're getting these presentation is because this design is required to go to the design commission, and they cannot take it to the design commission without a resolution from us. So it's somewhat of a bureaucratic issue. I also wanted to ask, about the construction. How much will it impact the surrounding community? And will you make, there is very active community groups on 3rd and 4th Street. Will you be in contact with them or send out some kind of newsletter letting them know what to expect.
So hi, this is Anna Killian. I can answer the question regarding contact with the surrounding community. We will be sending out advisories and emails as well to the community board, letting anybody know of any impactful work or any milestones, any delays, anything, any major with the projects. I believe that, I don't know if we have, Margaret might be better to answer this question about regarding impacts to the community. At this time, I don't believe there will be, but the construction team, Margaret, should answer that question.
Well, regarding community engagement, we've been working very closely with Henry Street settlement. And as Marianne mentioned, there's been outreach with the art department of the Henry Street settlement. And we hope to actively involve them in the project. As far as the impact, I believe it'll be, or at least all information so far has led us to believe that it will be a positive impact. But Marianne, do you want to add?
About the construction is never a positive impact. I'm talking about the construction phase.
Oh, the construction phase specifically. Yeah. Well, the construction phase will be, we plan to have a construction manager involved, and we have had multiple discussions about how exactly to minimize and most effectively conduct the construction management and the construction administration and the construction in general. So again, if Marianne wants to add to that, she could give more detailed information.
So as we move through DD and CD, CM will be brought on board. It's very important to the shelter that we close it for as little time as possible. So we will make an effort to stage the work. So when we're actually working on the facade, we limit the amount of time that it impacts the street. So we can do the storefront in like one portion of the construction rather than having, you know, a sidewalk bridge up for the entirety of it. So we would probably do all the interior work and then phase the storefront as like a separate portion of the project. I don't have enough information now to give you a timeline on that, but as we move forward, we're happy to give you updates. But that would probably be the most disruptive part when we change out that brick and glass.
Okay, so what I would like to ask is maybe like 3 or 4 months before you start, if we can touch base and figure out how to let the people on the block know about it and give them information.
Not a problem at all. And I guess we would be working with Ocon, with Anna on that.
Ocon is the construction company?
Community outreach.
Pardon?
I'm with Noberto's team from Ocon Outreach and Notification. I will go around to the surrounding areas and post advisories.
Did not know the jargon.
Sorry.
Okay, thank you. So, you know, I'll be dependent on you contacting me then before you start. This is Susan Stetzer at the Community Board Office, and Norberto has all my information.
Hi, Susan. Okay, I will.
Okay, great. Arnett.
Hi, good evening. I have a couple of questions, but it went down a lot. Susan asked a couple of the ones I was going to ask. But first, I'm going to go back to the storefront. As you discussed, like the design in itself is to ensure privacy for the residents there. As you start to do the construction on that part, how would you keep in mind, or how are you going to keep privacy? Because it's going to be, I'm assuming, a lot, it's going to expose a lot of the inside while you're doing it. So I wanted to know during that phase, what would be the entrance and exit for the residents? That's one. Two, you said that the building was constructed in 1975. I wanted to know, was it constructed or rehabbed in 1975? And if so, then if it was actually built prior to 75, is there any lead-based rebating? Is anyone certified to do lead-based abatement? Abatement, thank you. I said rebate, but I meant abatement. And also in this, thank you. And number three, when the rendering with this door where the new part where the compactor or the garbage would be kept, would they be also part like ventilation or anything? And what would be in place to ensure that there's no rodents and stuff to go into that area? So those are my three concerns. Rodents inside of the building because of the compactor going inside. Also the definition of when the actual building was built. Was it 1975 or prior? And lead-based abatement. And then, and I'm working backwards. And then the third was the privacy and ensuring privacy for the residents as they enter and exit the building while you're doing the windows and the beautiful treatment out front.
I can take a stab at this. In what we've started in terms of phasing diagrams and trying to have something to hand off to the construction manager, the idea is to produce temporary partitions inside of the shelters. So to partition off part of the area that's being worked on, and those partitions themselves would provide privacy. So you don't see all the way through the shelter if there's an opening in the outside of the building. The building, to the best of my knowledge, was built in 1975, and we've started environmental testing. And so far, the only thing that showed up in the work area is asbestos. And that is actually kind of like right up here. So there would be an abatement process. It's also below in the cellar and the waterproofing. So there would be an abatement process for the asbestos in the beginning of the construction. And then the trash room isn't connected to the inside of the building. So there is a barrier between potential rodents and the inside. And the trash room is also has ventilation and cooling in it so that it's not just like a hot, nasty, sweaty rodent pile in there. Hopefully.
May I add one small comment about the lead testing? DDC has a unit called OEGS or EGS, and they are concerned with any environmental issues, and lead testing is always part of that assessment of any DDC project. And it usually happens towards the end of the construction documentation phase when the projects are about to go into the procurement phase. So, you know, we definitely anticipate doing that. And we've, as Matthew mentioned, there's already been quite a bit of asbestos assessment, and for the most part the building is asbestos free, but there are minimal amounts of asbestos, particularly in the cellar. So and the plan is to have it fully abated before construction.
Thank you.
So I have a question. Yeah, I have a question. So while all this is happening, the intention is to have the residents stay in the building all the time?
They will have to move out for a portion of the time, but we're going to try to minimize it.
Okay.
And we're already working with DHS, like preparing them to, you know, organize themselves to temporarily house the women in a different place
Okay. All right. Are there any other questions? Okay, I don't see any hands raised right now. All right.
May I a quick question?
Okay, you do have Thomas's hand up.
Thank you. That was
Thomas.
a late call. Sorry about that.
Sorry.
Just a quick question. Would the work primarily be done during daytime hours? And if so, would it have a big impact on the traffic in the area? Because it's pretty busy there in the morning.
It would definitely be done during typical working hours. And I think the only thing I can imagine that would impact traffic is when they put the generator on the roof. They're going to have to boom that up. And part of the reason why we've located it at the front of the building is to make that as smooth as possible. It's also because the buildings across the street are lower than that, which will be built in the back, which is going to be this high residential building. But beyond the generator, I don't foresee anything affecting traffic.
Okay, thank you.
Susan, do you have another question?
No, I was just going to say in response to Thomas's question, they're required to do the work between 7 a.m. and 6 p.m. unless they get special permission.
Okay. All right. Okay, so I don't see any other hands raised right now. I'm assuming there are no other questions.
Could we just
So let
ask
us,
everybody, all the presenters, to please sign in on the chat?
yes, oh yeah, so yeah, please, if you have, Larissa mentioned this before during her announcement about the procedures, but all of you should sign in on the chat, your name, title, department, contact information,
Thank you.
so that we can get back to you if we need. Okay, so we have a resolution to look at. Okay, let's look at it right now and see if if this is what we want. It was sent to everyone by email, but we can also share it on the screen. Oh, Larissa, were you planning to share it on the screen?
You're muted, Larissa.
Sorry, I'm muted. You'd think I'd figure that out as a facilitator. No, I didn't. I had emailed you, asked you if I needed to present anything, and I didn't see, maybe I didn't see your response to me, so I didn't have that ready to go. Wasn't sure if you needed me to show it or if you were going to have Thomas.
I can share it if you need it. No problem.
Okay, thanks.
I just need permission to share, if you don't mind.
Oh yeah, that would help, right? Here you go. Okay, my dear, you're a co-host.
Okay, so this is pretty short, and this is what this is what was drafted for the committee to review and also vote on. Any changes or can be made, but So let's look at this, and to focus our attention on it, Thomas, could you read it out loud?
Sure. Title: Support for Third Street Women's Residents, Improvements to Improve Safety, Accessibility, and Compliance of Facility. Whereas the Henry Street Settlement Third Street Women's Residents needs facility reconstruction improvements for safety and accessibility and to cure building code violations. And whereas reconstruction will include the following elements: facade replacement, rebuilding the vestibules and lobby, a new ADA compliant entrance on Third Street, new stairs and ramp, upgrades to electrical services, replacement of electrical panel covers, a new generator and acoustical enclosure, provision of ground fault circuit interrupter receptacles. Therefore, be it resolved that Community Board 3 supports the proposed Third Street Women's Residence renovation design, which will improve safety, accessibility, and compliance.
I have some suggestions. Does anyone have, first let me let others, does anyone have any suggested changes or additions for this? Okay, well, one of the things I wanted to, that we perhaps should add in, and Susan, because you've seen a lot of these other kind of resos before, maybe in other areas such as parks. You talked about, you know, the community notification. Is that something we can put in the resolution about what they will do to notify the community?
I don't really think it's necessary. The purpose of this resolution is for the design commission, and we work, I mean, this isn't a private place, and we work, this is the city, and we work with them all the time. It's normal. It's, you know, it's not an issue.
Okay. All right.
If it were a private company, which wouldn't probably be coming before us, it might be a different story.
Oh, okay, so you're saying it's already in place.
Yeah, it's,
We need to follow up, but it's in place.
exactly.
All
It's,
right. Okay. Okay, is there anything else? Is this good as it is? Okay, I don't see any. Oh. Larissa, is that, are you raising your hands or is that a thumbs up?
Thumbs up.
Okay, so we're going to, so we have one more agenda item coming up. And so to save on time, we can go to the other agenda item and then vote on everything at the end. Is that okay with everyone? Does anyone object to that? Okay, I don't see any objections and I see at least one thumbs up. Okay, so that means we will, so thank you. The teams at DDC and the design team and the architecture team and the construction team for presenting to us. We will be voting on this, you know, at the end of the meeting. And if we have any other questions, I'm sure Susan will give you, well, you'll be in touch with Susan, I'm sure.
Okay, thank you. So we're to leave now.
Yes, you're welcome to stay, but you're free to go.
Okay. All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
If we sit around, do we get to stay for the vote? Can we vote?
you.
No, you're not on the committee, you can't vote, but you can stay for it.
Nice
Yeah,
try,
you can-
Matthew.
You can watch us vote.
Or you can
This will also
contact
be on
me.
YouTube.
Or you can, it'll be on, yeah, on the website tomorrow, or you can contact me. I wouldn't worry too much about it.
Okay. Well, thank you all. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, so our next agenda item is the school at Essex Crossing. Deborah, did you raise your hand?
I just want to invite Susan to lower her screen so we can see the bottom half of her face.
I do that to you all the time.
That's my community service.
Okay.
So, there you go.
Okay, so, okay, thank you for your service. Okay, so we're talking about Essex Crossing School. And we, as you all know, we have some piece of land at Essex Crossing, Site 5, that is being reserved for the school. But there is no construction yet, and there's no funding for the construction. So, so our first step, though, is to get an extension on the land. It expires, the reservation expires in 2023. And so that's next year. But, we could certainly use more time to, for the school. Okay, so we had a meeting in August, right, the beginning of August with HPD.
Yes.
So it was a small meeting with Drew, who's Susan, and me, sort of get there, to talk to them about it. As you recall, we had talked to them about it in the prior administration, I think it was a couple of years ago, and they were agreeable to extending the land at the time. But then we did not follow up, and then a new administration came into place. So we followed up again just this past August. It sounds like, they're still open to it. They say that there's no other request for it that they know about. Is that the right way to say it, Susan?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. And so we just need, to formally request an extension and also have it on paper. So today we have a resolution that basically says that we want to ask for an extension. We don't say how much time in the resolution, but that it's still on. Does anyone have any questions? Deborah?
I have a question in terms of,
Oh, Thomas, okay.
yes, when I first came to the board, this was something that came up a lot, and I'm still learning about a lot of these kind of systems. Is the holdup coming from the lack of a school design, like a school to be populating the place? Like what's holding up the construction of the building?
Funding. Well, there's no permission to do it.
Well, they you probably know this, Thomas, they, build new schools based on what they see as the need. So their need is based on school seats and a formula, and they project in a certain way, so there's based on a formula, which people say is outdated. Our other issue too also is that I think, because of the rising cost of real estate, we don't have a lot of children or families with a lot of children, so that doesn't help us in terms of the number of school age children. However, we have other needs, such as we have a lot of old buildings, very old buildings. We need more state-of-the-art facilities, and, that's kind of been more our, we may not, you all, look, you work in a school and you know that many schools are co-located. So they may say that, there's not enough room to build a new school. However, a lot of schools are, kids are like sharing cafeterias and gyms and lunch hours and, just all over the place. So this is, some of the issues that we have been dealing with. Susan and Shirley, and then Susan. Shirley?
Yeah, just a question. So if we're going to reopen or try to extend the designated space, are we still limited to a K-8 school, or is there a way with that application to open it to a broader as we spoke of, perhaps a dyslexia school, now that the new mayor's interested in dyslexia, maybe that's a thing, and what they're building at Grand Union, we're over by NYU, or a K-12 school or whatever. Is there that opportunity if we're going to reapply to maybe just like open it up a little bit so maybe we can get that space designated?
Okay. Well, we didn't talk about it yet, but like right now, we're just, if we don't have the reservation, then we're not having a school, period. But I guess, we would have to discuss it and take a position. But we're not discussing it right now. Right now, we're just trying to get the land so that we have time to discuss it. But I see what you mean, that, there has been a lot of updates, about what is needed, or, additions since the last time we voted. But that's not to say what we voted on before is out of date either. Does that make sense, Shirley? Shirley?
She's muted.
Yes, it does. It makes sense.
Oh. Okay.
I'm going to try to put my hand down. Sorry.
Deborah had her hand up.
Who's here? Deborah and then Susan.
I mean, I don't know if this is something that you can answer, but do you have a sense of what other uses could potentially usurp this space? Is it commercial? Is it something else that is a community space, like a school? Do you have a sense of that?
Don't know. I mean, they didn't say that there was someone else who wanted to usurp it. I mean, that's not what HPD said, and we didn't talk to them about that.
Yeah, I guess I was just curious.
Talking about.
I know. I was just curious
Yeah.
whether if it's open for commercial development, then what does that mean in terms of their real willingness to grant an extension? I was just curious what the potential sort of hitch in the giddy up might be.
Okay, that's a good question. Susan?
Well, first I'll go to Deborah's question. So it's under the jurisdiction of HPD. There is no agreement to give it to Delancey Associates for commercial development. Doesn't say that couldn't happen, but it would be starting from beginning. So just a sense of what else it could be used for. It's under HPD, I would say housing. And I would say particularly whatever that was. So as I just wanted to say, what we're doing now is just getting the space to allow, as May said, to allow us to then talk about all these other issues. But what we haven't done is, over the last several years, is advocate. And we do have to figure out exactly what we want to do if it is extended. And then we have to work with our elected officials to advocate for whatever it is we decide. It's not going to happen. No one has approved and said, yes, you can have a new school. We've said we want a school. No one said, okay. So it's not even a question of construction starting. As May mentioned, we're losing the number of children under 18 in CB3 goes down every year. And there are a lot of schools or need for schools in Queens that school construction has said, they just have priority because there's a greater need. So what we have to do is really advocate for it.
Any other questions? Comments? All right, I don't see anything. If there is nothing else, we can look at the resolution. And Larissa, I know you have it ready to share.
I do. Give me just a moment and pull that up. Okay.
Okay, so this is what you have in front of you. It's the same thing that I emailed to you about an hour before the meeting. So we're going to look at this, and this is if we have any changes or modifications, we can do that. And afterwards, we'll vote at the end of the meeting. So you can read it in front of you, but Larissa, could you read it out loud so people can focus on it?
Sure. Title: Request for Extension of Essex Cross Site 5 Reservation for Pre-K to 8 Public School. Whereas Site 5 of Essex Crossing has been set aside for a new pre-kindergarten through 8th grade school as part of the Seward Park Urban Renewal Area, SPURLA, redevelopment for 10 years. And whereas the reservation of this site is set to expire in 2023, the funding for the construction is not yet included in New York City School Construction Authority's capital budget. And whereas the property has been placed under the jurisdiction of the New York City Department of Housing Preservation and Development, who appear willing to extend the reservation of Essex Crossing Site 5 for a new school. And whereas Community Board 3 has cited the need for a new school in its annual district needs statement and more extensively in its Essex Crossing School position paper. So therefore be it resolved, Community Board 3 requests that the reservation of Site 5 of Essex Crossing to be used for a new pre-kindergarten through 8th grade school be extended for 5 years to provide more time for the NYC SCA to include funding for the construction in their capital budget. And that is it.
Yeah, I have a question for everyone to consider. So our previous position on this, our position currently on this school, on this building is that it should be a K-8 school. If we want to add to that or change that, we would have to vote on it, but should we just say school and not K-8 in this letter? So then later on, just in case we make any modifications to the K-8 description, we can do it without running into trouble with this resolution. So
Sorry,
I
I
would
don't know.
suggest.
Go ahead, sorry.
That sounds like a good idea, May.
Okay.
I would agree, just it leaves us a little bit more open, and then, you know, maybe there is something we can negotiate down the way as far as a need for a particular kind of school.
Yeah, so I can't find it right now, but Larissa, you know where it says, or maybe Thomas is the one to do this. Oh, Thomas, you don't have this, right? No, Thomas, you do have it.
I have it.
Okay, so what I'm saying is to, where it says K-8 school, just cross out the words K-8. In the first whereas.
Okay, I see
So
it, but
instead of,
I'm not on the shared doc. I have it as a separate document.
yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
So we're going to delete, so we're gonna say, delete the word, yeah, she has it. It's what you see on the screen.
It's also in the title, pre-K to 8 public school.
And also in the therefore be it resolved.
Okay. All right, so that's,
Do you want to
Okay.
put the word new back in there, used for a new
Oh.
school? Because you took the new out in the therefore be it resolved.
Sure, let's see. New.
It was in there
gotcha.
before, and I don't know that you necessarily need it, but
No, wait, I think that's a good idea, yeah.
and the title needs something. Site 5 Reservation Public School is how it reads.
Yeah. Request for section closes the reservation for.
reservation for a new public school.
Yeah. Do you mind if I make a suggestion on the first whereas we also keep the public in there? So new public school, just to keep it consistent.
Yes, I agree.
Hello,
Arnett, did you have something to say?
yeah, I'm reading it over and thinking about it. If we put a new public school, this will also include a possible high school or something like that, which would then not necessarily service the district. It would be citywide. Keeping it K to 12 actually keeps the space open specifically for the district. That's my only concern, because K to 8, the children would have to be part of the community. A new public school could vary into either a high school and or a charter school, which would also almost be like a citywide school, which wouldn't take the children necessarily, just for the community as a priority. That's the only issue I have with putting just a new public school.
Well, let's say, for example, people wanted the dyslexia school, I guess I just don't want to be like locked into this thing of, I know what you mean, but
Can we put
so
district?
this is for sort of like a just in case. Susan?
Yeah, well, our original resolution calls for the school to be a District 1 and District 2 school. So we could put that in, which I think would address Arnett's concerns. That it was a public school, a joint District 1, District 2 public school.
Because it's actually physically located in District 2, right?
Right. And we specifically want to include District 1. So that would work if you want to just put a joint District 1, District 2 public school, which is what we voted on.
Want to add that? Should we add that? I'm assuming in the title.
I would
Yeah,
put
so you put-
all over.
Oh, okay. So
All over.
so I'm going to replace new with a District 1 with a
No,
joint.
leave-
New,
No, and it has to be new.
okay.
New joint
Okay,
District
recycle.
1, new joint District 1 and District 2 public school. And then in the first whereas, and
Okay. Sorry, computer's freezing, so there we go. And also in the result.
Is the proper term, Arnett, is the proper terminology just District 1/District 2 school, or joint District 1, District 2? Or does it, or is it all the same?
The slash and the joint are basically the same, is indicating both districts.
Okay.
How's that better?
The whereas before therefore has a new school, but
Oh,
No, that's okay. Or yeah, we, you know, it
We
just
wanna keep
refers,
everything.
it refers to our paper, that's all. It refers
Oh,
to our
it's undo.
position,
Okay.
which
I'll
is
undo
the
that one.
K-8, I mean, you know, D1, D2 school. I mean, after a while, the D1, D2 appears like in every sentence. Yeah, so our position is specifically the K-8 D1, D2 school with community school model. Okay, can everyone read this? Does it need to be read aloud again? If you need us to read it aloud again, let us know. If not, we will assume that this is okay. All right. So this is the, okay, so this is good. Thank you, everyone.
Thomas, I'll email this to you if you need it.
Sure, thank you.
Okay, so we're gonna vote at everything at the end of the meeting, but we have a few more things to go. And so now we're up to the, we have some announcements, and we also have CAB CEC reports. So I know, can we do the CAB CEC reports first? Arnett, did you go to a CEC meeting? And what did they talk about? That is CEC 1.
yes. I did. The last meeting was August 11th. It was the only meeting for that for the month of August. And in it, the major thing that concerns the community that came out of that meeting was BioBus. Is everyone familiar with BioBus? Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
Yep, we
okay.
are.
Oh, BioBus has presented a proposal to build a facility at the east side and Manhattan Charter's Success Academy's building, which is on 11th and 12th Street, Eastside Community High School. They want to build on the 11th Street side. There is a mezzanine portion of the building where East Side and the Charter Success are divided. There's like a middle part. They're proposing to build on that mezzanine part outside of the school so that it can be, what they're saying is it could be more of a storefront where people can see BioBus and advertise BioBus, be open for the community as well as provide state-of-the-art science laboratories in that complex. From that discussion, the CEC asked several questions, and one of the major question was how much outreach other than East Side did you do? Did you just go to East Side and they were, okay with it, and then you proceeded? And in addition to that, they also received $1 million from the office of Carolina. Carolina's office gave them $1 million of the discretionary funds to build. So they have the money, and they were proposing a site. from that conversation, there was more questions about outreach. Did you outreach to other schools? Is this the only school that you went to? And the concern was to ensure that more of our students in need have access to this facility. And the primary concern was East Side in that area has a lot more resources than maybe a school at 188 or 134 or 20. So they were asking them how much research, how much outsourcing and resources did you look at to, decide on this building? And they weren't able to really come up with a satisfying amount of information on outreach. So we had asked for them to continue to do so. They were invited to present at the principals meeting that the superintendent had fairly recently. I think it was August 30th. I didn't attend that meeting. It was closed to the principals. So on September 12th, when we have our next meeting, we're looking to hear from the superintendent about that presentation and to see and hear, hear the feedback from the principals on possibly suggesting another school or how they felt about the utilization of that particular complex. So that's basically the major topic I think that really concerns the community on the placing of BioBus's new facility. It's a great option, I think, for the community, but we want to ensure that there was significant enough outreach to other schools and that the community would really have access to this facility. So that's basically the major sticking point of the last EEC meeting.
Okay, thank you, Arnett. And I saw on there, you said they're having a meeting on September 12th, and I looked at their agenda, and CB3 updates was on their agenda. I saw.
Yeah, I got an email.
Oh, you're on mute.
Yeah, they just added that on recently.
Oh, okay, so maybe we'll talk to you later about, something. I don't know if there's anything we need right now, but. Okay, okay, so any questions about that? To the committee, from the committee?
Just remind people, if it does go through, it'll have to come to the community board for Euler.
Oh, that's a Euler?
Well, I'm not sure if it'd be it's utilization or designation of public land. It would at the very least come to us for design commission. I'm not sure if it would be a ULIP or not, but it would definitely come to the community board.
Yeah, I think it would be for their design.
All right, thank you. Okay, next. Laura Lugo. Did you go to any of the CAB meetings?
There were
2
no CAB
months?
meetings scheduled in August.
Okay, thank you. Larissa. Souvenir CAB.
Souvenir CAB meets this coming Monday. And this will be our election meeting.
Okay, thank you. Susan, we didn't have any shelter CAB meetings, right?
No.
Okay, great. Okay, so now let's get some updates. I know, Susan, I know you had an update about an upcoming meeting you wanted to let people know.
Yeah, announced. Yeah, it's not actually an update. I want to draw their people's attention to 2 community board 3 meetings this month. The first one is on the agenda. It's the budget, a public hearing for budget priorities. This is mandated by a city charter that we hear from the community. And the committee for this hearing is made up of committee chairs that attend and will be chaired by the board chair. Members, I see that some members have signed up for this meeting. We're asking people to register. So if people who are not committee chairs want to come and advocate for something as a member of the community, that's perfectly fine. You're not doing it as a community board member. You're doing it as which wouldn't allow you to actually do it because of conflict of interest. But you are allowed to come, as long as it's not your committee, to come and advocate as a member of the public or any organization. We often have friends of different parks groups and that sort of thing. If anyone has any questions about that meeting, I think it's going to be, people are going to be requested to not speak for more than 2 minutes. And if you want to hand in anything, that's also fine. The other meeting is not on the agenda because it is not a public meeting. It's only for community board members. And on September, I did send out an email about it. I will send out a calendar invite for the Zoom meeting. It is the Conflict of Interest Board is going to come at 6 o'clock, not 6:30, on September 21st to give a training on conflict of interest that is geared just for community board members. There are a number of issues that are really important that we have to comply with, and it's I find it interesting. So that's it, unless there's any questions.
Okay, I don't see any questions. And also the February 14th public hearing, please encourage your colleagues who may be community members or with organizations and may have things that they want to advocate for.
That's true. And
So please encourage them to attend.
And I just want to announce, I actually double booked in the beginning. So the budget hearing was changed from the 21st to the 14th. I just want to make sure that everybody's aware of it. And yes, if you could ask, like nonprofits to come talk about their needs and what they need more funding for, that's very helpful.
Okay. Are there any other updates? Okay, actually one of the things Susan was talking about, we were talking about is some of the youth, it was about the youth programs and youth street homeless. In June, we had a panel discussion about, youth and homelessness. And we, had a pretty good panel discussion, about youth in shelters, youth in schools, youth and students in temporary housing. And, but recently, I guess, during the OMB budget priority meetings, we found out that DYCD does have contracts for homeless outreach, not for adults, but specifically for youth. And there is an organization down here that gets contracted for it. So we could, if everyone is interested, invite them to give a presentation about what they're doing at a future meeting. I just want to know if that's something, you're interested in terms of, adding to your, knowledge and information about this. The program is called Streetworks, and I think it's part of, I'm not absolutely sure, maybe it's part of Safe Horizons, right? And yes, they also run a drop-in center at 33 Essex Street. So I don't know, it's like, connected to how it's connected to the drop-in center, but I'm sure it is. And also I would like to say that, one day we will go back in person, I believe, yes. And it, this can be, done at an in-person meeting, maybe more effective to meet people in person and talk, have them present to us in person. Yeah. Okay, does that sound good to people?
Yes.
Okay, sure. Okay, so we'll schedule it for another time. All right. Okay, so we're coming to the end of our meeting. And we are going to take now the final roll call and final vote on the two resolutions. Thomas?
Yes, so May, am I going to do individual votes for each resolution, or I'm just gonna say everything at the end?
You can say everything at the end. And so, so committee members, you don't have to vote it up or down. You can, say, if you say yes to both, it's yes to both. If it's no, if it's yes and no, you should indicate which one is a yes and which one is a no, which one is abstain.
Okay,
Does everybody understand? We do this often at full board. Okay. I think you can go ahead, Thomas.
all right. Let's get in my document. Maylee,
Yes to all.
okay. Thomas, yes to all. Larissa,
Yes to all.
okay. Anna? Anna Calderon? Okay. David? David Crane? Mr. Diaz, Eric Diaz?
Yes to all.
All right. Larry? Larry Fenn? You were there
He
before,
probably
Larry?
stepped off.
All right, if he
I
comes
don't
back, let
see
me
him
know.
in
I
the
think
chat
it's
room.
safe.
All right. Shirley?
Yes to all.
Okay. Deborah?
Deborah,
Deborah?
you're muted.
The space bar didn't work this time. Yes to all.
Thank you. Alicia, did Alicia make it to the meeting?
No.
Laura?
Yes to all.
Okay. Heidi?
Yes to all.
Thank you. Arnett?
Oh, okay. Yes to all.
Thanks. And Carmen?
Yes to all.
Thank you, Carmen. And thank you, everyone.
Okay, thank you, everyone. Okay, so this adjourns our meeting. Have a nice night and see you at the next meeting, which is the Conflict of Interest Board meeting. That's for this Ross. Okay.
All right, nice seeing everybody.
Thank you.
Nice seeing
Good night.
everyone. Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.